But what is not a project? What is not a project is exploratory work. When you don't have definitiveness, right, about the effort, then any kind of exploratory brainstorming work is not a project. When an activity goes on indefinitely with no end in terms of timeline or deadline, that is definitely not a project. When it's a one-man person, while that one person can probably treat this like his project, right? It's still not what we will define for the purpose of this course, a project. And then arguably it gets trickier. When a team is working on the same thing again and again and again, it may no longer warrant requiring that it be managed as a project anymore. When you create the same thing multiple times with no change from the previous times, it just becomes production work, no longer project work. When there's no time, no cost, or performance constraints, it is not a project. So project management is governed by different standards across different countries. As a matter of fact, most Western countries have project management standards, and while they are compatible and interchangeable with other countries' standards in project management, they do have their own. Japan has their own, Australia has their own, the United Kingdom has their own, and the United States have their own. The purpose of standardizing project management practices is because government procurement has gone into the trillions of dollars, and there needs to be some kind of predictability and a set of standards by which the work will be implemented in order for us to gain cost efficiencies and outcome efficiencies and realize the value that we are putting behind all these large budgets. In the United States, there is an institute which is dedicated towards the propagation of the trade, towards the improvement of the trade, towards sharing the best practices and setting the standards of this trade, called the Project Management Institute. I believe they are based in New Jersey. They have several chapters across the world, and naturally, global American companies such as Accenture, IBM, Oracle do practice this form of project management. There has been a great adoption of Agile over the last 10 to 15 years, and many organizations have taken on Agile, but the largest organized institute for the dedication of advancing the trade of project management practice continues to be the Project Management Institute in the United States, where there are over 1 million members of this PMI, and there are hundreds of thousands of certified project management professionals, and they have create certification programs that creates badges that shows the proficiency of these managers in as far as the guides and the standards of project management is concerned. And this institute, through many, many years, 70 years or so, 80 years of developing these standards, have defined what a project is. And according to the project management body of knowledge, let's pause for a second. The project management body of knowledge is basically a compendium of standards in the United States of how projects should be run, right? And while ultimately, project management is customized according to the process assets of a company and the organization that is doing the hosting the project management, the project. The overarching standards continue to be based on the best practices that the Project Management Institute was able to build, and that is the body of knowledge. It's a book that is about an inch thick. It's a very technical book about project management. When you read it, it's hard to understand. But it is quite a very valuable reference in trying to understand what are the global best standards and a major reference for accidental project management. It's important for you to have a framework by which to work with on how to implement a project. It needs to be somewhat step by step. It needs to be somewhat structured and organized, because not every organization is agile. Not every organization has the ability to be agile. Not every organization has the ability to be flexible and fast. And that's just the reality of the drawbacks of agile. Agile depends so heavily on the human factor and the enablement of the members of the agile team to deliver results, while many organizations do not enable the members of the project, of the agile team, to make decisions. And when they cannot make decisions and they have to go back, then it just becomes waterfall all over again. Now, that doesn't spell the end of it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do projects anymore. That you just need to find which structure works for you the best. The purists in Agile will say, Mario, you're talking about blasphemy here. Agile is the way forward. I'm not quite as dogmatic as that. After all, these are applied courses that I teach. It's heavily based on my experience, if you trust it. It's heavily based on the experience of others, if you trust it. And ultimately, it'll be your disposition, it'll be your decision that decides which way we go with this thing.